And everybody did that very well. On the agenda, which is here, I'm going to read it to you. And the first thing the board needs to do is approve the agenda, and I'm going to make a couple of tweaks to it. Okay? The first thing is that there'll be two announcements. One from Suzanne Reed. Suzanne, could you raise your hand? Suzanne has a program that I want us to know about, a science program for young children. And I'm going to move our guest speaker, Sarah, who has another meeting to go to, up after Suzanne. Then we're going to do public comment. And then the minutes from the last meeting you all got, and it was posted, and there's a copy back there. And then I'll give a very brief report from the last Venice Neighborhood Council meeting. Then we'll go into the parent networks in the family school. Sarah's going to talk about that, and she'll tell you what her job is in connecting parent networks in the Venice neighborhood schools. And then we're going to do some new business. Interested in the report, and I hope we can get you before you go to the Human Relations Commission meeting, and then reports on the progress we're making on the program for next year. So, board, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. I second.
Thank you. So the agenda is approved. So let's move right now into Suzanne.
So my name is Suzanne Reed. I will likely stumble through this presentation. That's why I won't stumble through the floor. Not my forte. But basically, we have a program that we're introducing. Our first events will be in August, actually here in the library parking lot. We are small and a startup, and we're kind of joining the fray to help our kids get better education. We are amazed with all the efforts out there, but we know this is a huge battle. I have a young son, and even right before I came over here, his godmother and my mother were talking about how they really don't think they're going to be the types of opportunities they had or I have had growing up economically and the ability to start families or what have you. And they really happen to agree with the educational community that those changes have the best chance of coming about by better preparing our kids for the future. So our educational program, Dawn Racer, focuses on applying the agile thinking processes to methods of learning. So we focus on STEM-based topics. We present our programs as events. We produce STEM-focused enrichment events. And these events help teach the kids problem-solving skills and project management skills. We focus on creative, critical thinking, communication, collaboration skills. We do it through lesson plans that we've developed that really help these kids go from problem definition all the way through the brainstorming and coming to a conclusion. And as I said, we're doing them as events here in Venice, starting in August, every Sunday of August. We've got, I've got my little handy paperwork here because I've already forgotten most of what I wanted to say, the organization which I want to present. But we've got these 4 events coming up. It's called the Summer Experiment Series. They focus with one that focuses on solar, one that focuses on space, then water and electricity. And we help the kids answer the questions that are posed in the titles of the events, such as, can solar power get you to school in the rain? They look at that question, they look at it, we actually have backstories for each team. There are about 40 kids in each program. They're put into teams of 4, and they have a team lead, and they try and answer that question. But the backstories help them. You have to actually go through the problem definitions stage, whether, who's asking the question, what's it really mean? Is it, a family on a used car lot trying to find out if it makes sense that's the only car they're going to have? Is it somebody trying to do a starting in Venice, because that's where we are. Our campus is a high mobile campus. It's actually an inflatable tent setup that lets us scale to about 1,200 square feet. Ultimately, we'd like to take it into all different parts of the city, but we're starting in Venice. Because this is what we have. There's lots of kids here, obviously. And we're a bunch of them. And so that's just a little bit about our program. It's actually a little more complex than what I thought than that, but I think I was about that. Or I heard myself. Oh, absolutely, and I can leave you guys with some information. But one of the things I did want to emphasize was we're really looking for, a big part of what we're doing, there's a business model behind it. We broke down as we're conscious capitalists looking to enter this space to broaden what other groups are doing by reusing content from the school. And also, so implementing will by using and teaching the methodologies, making our lesson plans are all based on mind maps, so that the teachers move through them, effectively help them guide students in a certain process. So we're pretty excited about it. I have just all of these written down. I was going to explain it all to you folks. Yes.
If you're similar in some ways to like mad science or star science, this kind of program.
I'm sorry.
Are you familiar with mad science or star science?
I'm familiar peripherally with those things, and honestly, a lot of those programs that we're looking to partner with them to put their content and a lot of their thinking and the experience and practice they've gotten into our methodology, which is really based on the agile software development methodology. It's an iterative, adaptive process, but it really focuses on providing core competencies based on STEM and engineering and software methods, but across the board. And anything, whether you're waking up in the morning trying to figure out how you're going to get all your errands done, there's a specificity to a way you need to think to be the most successful. And that's what we're really trying to help these kids figure out. If I can give you a quick example, I can't tell you the number of times my mother loses something, and she absolutely does not want to stop and come up with a way to solve the problem. She does not want to fret and run around. And my thinking is, let's retrace this, let's figure it out, and I find almost every single thing she loses in a very short amount of time, because I have a way of thinking about the problem and recreating it and breaking it down, defining it, and getting to the end goal. So even something as small as that, that's what we're really trying to teach the kids. But we want to do them using STEM-focused content and community-based content, including things about the environment. We're working with Surfrider to help promote their ocean-friendly gardens component, because a big part of all of that is nothing's going to be there for our kids if we don't help them regain ownership in the future. And we happen to firmly believe that the way they do that is by connecting the present to the future, helping them understand what's happening around them, by giving them real world models to work with, and then the tools to better understand and potentially become the change they want and we need to see for them in the future. So
What's the cost?
it's $25. We have some folks right now who've contacted us about scholarships, and it's definitely part of our agenda. And to be perfectly honest, the reason there's a $25 cost is that we wanted people to make a commitment.
It's $25
For
for
each event, and each event runs from 9 to 12 on Sunday morning, the August 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th. I was never very good at that.
It's
Our
$25
event.
for those 4 days?
No, for each, they're distinct events, so from 9 to 12, we have kids in the program, and then from 12 to 1, there's an optional social, if you will, where parents can come back and see what the kids have done, and the kids can meet the other kids on the team, and hopefully also grow their community with other kids that are interested in STEM related projects. Which, as we all know, can be anything interesting to STEAM now.
Yes.
STEAM stuff, that's a STEAM or STEM. So,
What's
STEAM and art.
Oh,
Science, technology,
yes.
art, and
In
math.
other words, traditional school.
Traditional scale.
Add
But
to
you
that,
really
what a
see-
thought.
you
What a
really see the
concept.
underpinning. But I think you see the agile
Well,
lineage
lineage
is
is
critical to all of it.
Right.
Producing a show. So,
Do we have need of translation? ¿Necesitan traducción? ¿Ustedes de atrás?
Sí,
How does anyone communicate with you?
We have a Dawn Racer website, and I'll put out, I've got some materials I can leave out, and I'm also on
Que
the
quieren unas becas para unos que no pueden pagar los
Here's a question.
Yes,
What's your name and see, there's no agendas. So we need your name and.
I'm sorry. My name is Suzanne Reed, and the name of the company is Dawn Racer.
Dog race.
Dawn Racer.
Dawn
Uh,
is in.
Dawn.
D-A-W-N.
D-A-W-N. And I'll leave some materials in the back. And the name of the series that's coming out, as I said, is the Summer Experiment Series, which really harken to, Venice, water, sun, space, because everyone may or may not realize the Perseid meteor shower occurs on that second weekend. The Bring It On overarching logo and theme is Bring It On, I Can Do It. We're expecting to get these kids back to the folks at the end of the day with a little more confidence in the sense that they can do these things, that they're not, that the complexity is not what they think it is, and to really help them break down the problems and challenges in their lives. And for those folks, I know I'm talking about a minute and over my time, but we're extremely interested in input from the educational community. That has been a huge help. We're not about reinventing the wheel, we're about supporting the wheel and merely providing another way for kids to learn what's out there for them to learn.
One of the reasons I had her come tonight is I used to be the principal of Venice High School. And the proudest nights were the nights when the students invited their parents come and they explained to their parents what they were learning. Those are called student-led conferences. And the whole agenda around education is changing with Common Core standards. In other words, we've come through a period where you had to know the right answer and you marked A, B, C, or D. Now, you have to know how to get the right answer and explain it to somebody. So, for the children that she's going to be working with, it works well into this new kind of thinking and testing that's going to be going on. And here's your card if anybody wants it.
And I've
You've
got
got
some more,
stuff.
I've got some more, and I just wanted to emphasize one more thing, I'm sorry guys, but I come out, I'm a data architect. I come out of a large Fortune 500 company, and I came actually into that large Fortune 500 company with the Learn SQL in 24 hours, which is a coding language. Learn the language in 24 hours because I had an interview and I needed to get there. All of these things are so attainable. We worked with a huge number of Indian developers who are the nicest people and greatest folks, but they are the same middle class and lower going into middle class folks that so many Americans are. And they are eating our lunch. People from outside our communities and our neighborhoods are eating our lunch for reasons that are outside of our education, but also because of what's going on with our economy. And I happen to be a capitalist that's slightly going in the wrong direction. But we can educate our kids better, and I know that's what we're all in there to do. But I want my kid and all of his little kids to have a better future, so we're jumping in. That's kind of the whole reason we're in there. So we are extremely open. I will pass out cards to you guys and put stuff in the back, but we would love to hear from anyone who has input for us. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So your first one will be here on June.
August 4th.
August 4th.
August 4th, yes. Yes, yes, thank you.
The other thing is I want to maybe I think these. Okay, thank you.
Well, no, actually, if I may give a 1-minute report, there's a group coming from the works of Fathers of English Parents United of Venice, and they're taking up space and taking the part of the conversation necessary to be heard and seen to come to DNC. So we're actually going to not ask for 2 years in running with the excuses why we don't have translations.
Oh,
And not one person can be held responsible for bringing the community out using a monolingual Spanish, reading translation.
yeah.
I'm just not that person, and I'm not about to start working.
No, I'm
So,
sorry.
with that.
Yeah, thank you for your contribution. The other thing is that in the schools, there's been a lot of changes. I've been away from LA for almost 6 years. And now there are partnership schools run by the mayor and his people, There are Promise Neighborhood Schools, which are run by another organization. There are charter schools, for which we have Annual here in Venice, which is a good school. They have now small learning communities where they've taken big schools and tried to reduce them into smaller sizes. And many of those small learning communities are schools within schools. They have magnet schools. Venice High just got a brand new magnet called the STEM magnet, STEMM. And then also there are academies that have been funded by the state. So,
You got zones of choice, you got private schools.
zones of choice, pilot schools, everything that the old that we used to know has broken down into pieces. And one of the tasks for the Education Committee of the Venice Neighborhood Council is to see if we can connect the pieces in some way. And what we want to do is connect through the parent centers first. Then we can connect to the teachers, we can connect to the administrators. But the other thing is that we can bring a sense to this community that you don't need to go anywhere else for good education. When I was at Venice High School, it was a model high school, and I thought, yeah, you were there?
I graduated in '83.
I 83, you were there just a little before me, but had the absolute best science department
And
in
by
the
the way,
city.
we had a marching band of 105.
Okay.
Marching band.
Yeah. But we're trying to build up our neighborhood schools. So I asked Sarah to come to give us an idea of what it is with this Venice Family Neighborhood of Schools and what we can do to try and connect. She works with Lydia, who's the parent center rep at Venice. So,
But I'd like to make a comment. Many people have come tonight because at a previous meeting, this is to the questions regarding CEAC, EAC, and what's going on, and why has everything been eliminated for Title I parents. That's what we'd like an answer to.
well, that's not going to come from her because what we're talking
But
about
you
is
promised.
what's going to connect.
But you promised.
No, I can't.
You did. Look on the first agenda where it's written about CEAC.
This is one of the reasons why Rick, we have a presentation tonight, and Sarah, if you would please.
But let these people speak.
We don't have time. We have.
Will you let these people speak?
You'll have time. Yes, we
Thank
can.
you. Thank you.
So these are the, I'll pass these out. I hope there's enough. I'll make sure the board gets them through Bud. So I
Yeah,
want to make
sure.
sure that the people in the audience get them first. And basically what this is, again, I'm Sarah Lassnumber. I'm the administrator of Parent and Community Engagement for Educational Service Center West. Just a brief overview for those of you who may not have been schooled and how the district is made up now. We used to have, as you all know, hopefully the 8 local districts throughout the district. Now we have been broken down into north, east, south, west, and the innovative and intensive support, or also known as INSIC. So now we have educational service centers. And the West Educational Service Center encompasses what used to be Local District 3, parts of Local District 4, parts of Local District 5, parts of Local District 7, and a little bit of Local District 8. And so we actually, if you look, we're about comparable in size to what ESC North is. That's what we say, Educational Service Center, we call it ESC. They encompass what used to be 1 and 2, and they're just everything in the valley. And we have a huge land mass as well, but we happen to have the fewest number of schools represented. And so we have about 127 schools in Educational Service Center West. However, we have the most diversity in Educational Service Center West. We have most diversity ethnically, and we have a great language diversity, as well as socioeconomic diversity. So that has made our jobs very exciting and different and interesting and new every single day when we wake up. But all educational service centers are split up with construction, operations, and parent and community engagement. So you'll have in ESC West, our superintendent of construction is Cheryl Hildreth. Our director of operations is Jan Davis. And then I'm the administrator over parent and community engagement. And the umbrella we fall under is Parent and Community Services Branch, which will now be called Parent Community Student Services Branch. We're actually adding students to be part of that because that is why we're here after all. And so we need to make sure that the parent, the community, and the students are all working together to be successful. And under that umbrella is myself, as well as an administrator at each of the other 4 educational service centers. And under me, I'll speak specifically about the West, I have 4 parent educator coaches who work under me. I have a secretary, I have now an interpreter / translator working for us full-time, which is excellent, so we can make sure that everything that we do is in Spanish. And I do apologize, I was not anticipating needing Spanish versions of this. But normally I do own it in Spanish, so I can make sure it gets to the community in the future in Spanish.
I hope next time it's better bilingual.
Sí, lo siento que no está en español, es que no estaba expectando tantas personas
Yeah.
y no sabía que tenía que traerlo en español, pero existe en español y lo puedo dar al
Gracias.
comité, a usted, para
Por
ustedes,
favor.
¿ok?
Thank you.
Para
Gracias.
tener en español. I was just telling him I was not expecting the Spanish, and I will make sure that the committee members get it in Spanish so that it's
And we'll
available.
distribute it once I get
LASNOVER. There's nothing Spanish about it. It's phonetic, like Spanish, but that's about it. So, then we right now have 1 volunteer in service to America known as VISTA. It's an AmeriCorps program. Next week we'll be getting 2. And their real task is looking specifically at big projects. So that gets me into some of the projects that we've done and mainly our goals. And I brought this is our goal sheet. And as you can see down at the bottom, these are the 5 goals that run the parent and community engagement units of the district. The first one is key. It's ensuring a welcoming environment. What parent wants to walk into a school and not be treated appropriately, correctly, and with kindness, and in a welcoming fashion? And I think, unfortunately, some of you have